Hello, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner, and we are back for another episode of the Real Housewives of Orange County. And this is season 19, and this is a double recap. So we're doing episode 7, The Truth Will Not Set You Free, along with Truth Tellers and Lie Detectors. I decided to put it together because honestly, the head-to-head, the back-to-back Real Housewives shows, it's a lot, number one. You already knew that. But then the other thing is that I noticed, this is what I've mentally been doing, not trying to, but it's been kind of a thing. When I do the comparison, if I like Miami more one week, I do that. And then I just kind of leave the other one alone. And then double recap it. And I think, pardon me, I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to just keep doing it that way. If both of the episodes are really, really great, we're going to knock it out. So in this case, I'm going to just knock it out. And so hopefully this time around I'll be all caught up, especially with the holiday weekend, and it'll be great. The other thing is, the reason why I'm also behind on the recaps is I have some family stuff going on right now. And so even though I'm putting on a smile and putting on my face, I'm not really in the best place emotionally right now. But the Real Housewives, and I'm still trying to move forward, basically. So this is a nice distraction away from what's really going on with me, because I got some things going on. And yeah. I'm going, after I get these reviews out the way, I'm debating whether I'm going to go to the gym today, or go on a bike ride a little bit. I think I might go on a bike ride. I might table it and go tomorrow though, because I went on the run this morning and I was pretty sore. I feel like I kind of need another rest day, but that's neither here nor there. That's just a side note. Yeah, actually, I think I am kind of I think that's it. I think tomorrow I'm going to do the bike ride and then maybe go on a run, and that's it. I'm not going to go to the gym at all tomorrow. I think I'm just going to do the two things because I just need to get this caught up. And I need to redo my training program to stay motivated, keep going and whatnot. And then I might do my hair again. As much as I love the natural, and you can tell my hair is growing, it's getting healthier. I'm not done with the braids. I'm liking the braids, and I also want to do the blonde one last time before the summer is over with. I kind of want to be a 6'13" girly for just a little bit, because I haven't been a 6'13" girly at all this summer. And if y'all watch Real Housewives of Potomac, you already know what that's about. Speaking of, before we get into this review, did y'all see the trailer for the Real Housewives of Potomac? I think we're in for a treat come this fall. I'm looking for it. Between Real Housewives of Potomac and Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, which also that trailer hit before, probably about a couple weeks ago. I think we're in for a good treat for the fall. And honestly, outside of Miami, those two are my other favorites. So it should be good. Like, I'm looking forward to it. I'm missing recapping on Mondays. That was something I always enjoy doing. When I recapped on Mondays, it felt right. Recapping the way I'm recapping now, with the shows being back to back like this, it seemed too much. Because it's like, it's a little case of feast and famine. But anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this review though. Okay, so we start off the review where the ladies are reacting to Tamara's antics and her exit. And so basically it's a continuation of that. And it's the next day. So they're still in New Orleans at this point. Jen is being quite comical and she's sleeping. She wakes up the next morning and she FaceTimes Ryan, and she was Voodoo Jen right there. And she's literally telling him what happened, and he's like, oh wow. And come to find out, Tamara went directly to social media when it came to her issues. And as someone who's currently going through issues, also, I'll be honest with you, the other reason why I kind of haven't been recapping this show as much as I would like to is Tamara and her antics literally makes me sick, because I'm going through kind of a similar situation as Tamara, but I'm not making it about me. For those who don't know, let me just share real quick. My sister is battling, and it's not looking so positive right now when it comes to the cancer of it all. So we'll see what happens, but I already made arrangements to go down and see her soon, like abruptly, because I was planning on going in December, but based off of, I'm, I hate to say it like that, I'm trying to be positive, I'm trying to have positive vibes out there, but for those, keep me in your thoughts. Just keep me in your thoughts, because September might not work. And y'all can read between the lines of why. She's really not doing well. So, and my sister is the only sibling, half sibling, and I only have half siblings for those who don't know, but I only have half siblings, and she's the only one though that has children. So, that means that is 3 of my nephews and niece that also are dealing with this at the same time. So it's a lot. It's a lot. And then I also got news later this week about my uncle. Something abruptly happened there too. Not even same side of the family, just a lot. This year, 2025 for me, full transparency, has been a nightmare when it comes to my family situation. That's the nicest I can put it. We're not going to get teary-eyed, but I say all that to say that the way Tamara has been acting when it comes to all this, and how she's been basically justifying her antics and being a horrible person, not okay. Not okay. I mean, I'm what, maybe like, am I almost like, wait, am I 10? I think I'm 10 years older than Tamara, at least 10 years older than Tamara. And it's like, you're too, like, why are you acting like that at your big age of making someone else's situation about you that badly? You know, it's really messed up. So, yeah. Anyway, so everyone's kind of just like recapping how Tamara's been acting. And Gretchen then also FaceTime Slate, and they react to Tamara and her dramatic exit. And then same thing with Katie and Matt. They're actually talking about how the ladies are still trying to confront Katie and all her talking to the blogs of it all. And then she also mentions Kiki Monique, which we find out next episode, which we'll also recap here in a little bit, because I'm doing all the same thing. Because this episode, I think, is going to be a quick episode for me to review, and then we'll get to the one that we really care about, which is the lie detector episode. But they're talking about the Kiki Monique of it all. And yeah, I'll reserve my thoughts for the following episode, because I have a feeling I know a lot more of what's going on. And I think that's the other reason why that's another reason why I wasn't sure about reviewing this episode, because I wasn't sure what I thought was going on. But after watching this episode, I got figured out exactly what's going on. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's move on. So then what they have planned in the morning, outside of the drama that happened last night, is they now have a plan to do a swamp tour. And apparently Gina just afraid of water? I don't know what Gina's afraid of. I don't really care. Y'all already know I don't really care for Gina, so I'm just like, whatever. But apparently they're doing a swamp tour, and she is terrified of the idea of doing the swamp tour with alligators. I don't know why. I mean, respectfully, I just don't understand why you would be afraid of that, because it isn't that serious. It's not that deep. It really isn't. It's actually quite fun. Like, I enjoyed it. But anyway, so she is getting the ladies on this swamp tour, and Shannon's running late. But before all this is happening with Shannon running late, Shannon and Emily did talk about the Tamara of it all. And apparently Tamara, the next day, after she decides she's going to leave, she wanted to meet with Shannon off camera and basically have Shannon kind of just have her back about stuff. And hold on. Sorry, I had something in my eye. Anyway, moving on. So, but they are talking about, so apparently Tamara wanted Shannon to meet up with her that morning. And Shannon's like, no, I'm not on your beck and call anymore. Because apparently, and this is why Tamara is just, she's impossible to deal with. She thinks when she apologizes, that should be enough. Because what she does, which is really, really toxic and horrible, is she apologizes, but yeah, she doesn't change her behavior at all. She thinks the words of I'm saying I'm sorry is enough and that's it. And Shannon, she, basically has learned throughout what's been going on with her the past couple seasons, like, look, I need to have some clear, safe boundaries, which I'm glad. I mean, unfortunately, it's sad that it took her this long in her life to kind of figure it out. But I think as women, especially when you're a woman who has been in traditional relationships, and it's especially if it wasn't a good traditional relationship, when it comes to Shannon, I feel like she never really got over what happened with her and her husband Dave, or whatever. And so she's been walking around unhealed this whole entire time, instead of getting the lesson from it, learning from it, self-reflecting, whatnot. She's just been constantly moving forward. But in her defense, being on reality TV is not really the best platform where you can get that done. So I see why she's been moving the way she's been moving. But yeah, I think now that the dust is settled and she has learned, been forced to learn her lessons because of everything that's happened last couple years, she now is trying to set safe boundaries. And let's be clear, Shannon's no saint. I think they were two toxic individuals, but different types of toxic types that were friends. And sometimes you don't see that this friendship is not working when you both have toxicity to you, but they're different types of toxic, if that makes any sense. Anyway, I say all that to say, Shannon's like, yeah, no, I'm not going to follow her around. She will figure it out on her own. And so after that, somehow, some way, Shannon's running all kinds of late while all the ladies are waiting for her to do the swamp tour. And what's weird about it is, and kind of annoying, it's like, girl, she got there, fast forward, she got there, she did all that and got there just to look like regular. She had no reason to be so late. And I mean, she was 30 minutes late. And she had plenty of time to get ready. And so Gina's mad. She did make it about her, but I kind of understood why, if this is true. Because Gina's terrified of water and all that. So she's basically doing this conquer her fears. And so she's like, dude, the longer I sit and wait and have to think about this, I'm freaking out more. Which that part I get, because I'm like that when it comes to a lot of things more than people even know. So let me give an example. I like to hike. And my hiking, I'll do some mountain hiking. Not serious mountain hiking where I need the equipment, but just enough where I can still hike, and then I might need to climb a little bit, but not too much. That's a thing I do. And I've been doing it really since I was since I'm 30. So about 11 years now, it's a thing I do. The thing is, though, I do all that, and I'm actually terrified of heights. I am so scared of heights. And so the fact that I do this is crazy, and people think that's wild. And I do things better when I'm with someone who can either hike with me, who stays along with me, but not enough where they're stopping and going constantly. Because I had someone my ex-fiance, or almost fiance that I dated, he would stop and go constantly when we were hiking. And I would tell him to stop doing that. He just still would do it. And I've had to explain to him, the more I have to stop and think about what I'm doing, the more scared I am. If I could just basically, I have to act like a ram. No pun intended, because I'm an Aries, so it's kind of funny. But I literally have to act like a like a mountain billy goat, or like a ram onward and forward. Like that is the only way that works. Sorry, my mic cut off, or we'll do a little bit of editing action to make it do what it do. But I say all that to say, I get Gina's point of waiting, having to wait and sit in the anxiety, when really, if you were just able to just go and get it over with, you wouldn't. It's fine. You know what I mean? But anyway, so Katie and Jen and Gretchen, they're recapping the Tamara of it all. And then Gina, and this is all on the way to this Gator thing, by the way. And then Gina, Heather, and Emily, they're also recapping what happened the night before. But Gina actually spilled some tea. She's like, yeah, actually Tamara was telling me the truth. And they're like, how do you know this? Like, I actually reached out to that reporter that, Tamara got the information from. And yeah, she was telling the truth. And, yeah, so there's that. We'll get more into how I feel about it just a little bit more once the next episode comes in, because I have so many thoughts on what I think is going on actually. Anyway, so then Gator, so they were finally at the Gator airboating thing, and again, as I mentioned before, Shannon's running late. It turned out she ended up running like 30 minutes late, and I told you Gina was irritated. And Shannon's excuse was she was having anxiety about it as well. Like, apparently the idea of her doing, and I guess, again, you already know my stance on it. When you are concerned or really scared about doing something, just do it. Like, I'm literally the Nike sign. This is the most, I know I sound Aries as hell about this, but it's true. If you just go ahead and do it, don't think about it, just do it. Easier, easy peasy, makes it so much easier. As someone who does a lot of things that I'm terrified doing on a very regular basis, for example, I'm a marathoner, I've ran ultras. All those things scare me. I just do it anyway though. Like, because I know once I'm done, I'm going to have this adrenaline rush. I'm going to feel great about it. I'm not an extremist though. Like, I don't do all that, but I just know when you just put your best foot forward and just do it without having to think too much about it, it makes it easier. But anyway, they do survive. None of the ladies really liked it, clearly. And they're not the type of women that would, so I'm not even really that surprised. Fast forward, they're done. They get back to the hotel. Emily FaceTimes Shane, and we're seeing that there's a crack in their relationship due to what's going on with Luke. But then after that, then the ladies then end up changing and heading to this place called Bourbon House, which I would love to check out. That food looked excellent. I need to get down to New Orleans. My foodie side just really wants to get down there so badly. Oh my God. But anyway, so Heather and Emily are arguing while Gina's literally choking. And she makes a whole entire comment about it. It is what it is. And they have a nice dinner, pretty much. And it is what it is, for the most part. Yeah, I'm trying to think what else happened here. Because I think they asked about Tamara. And the ladies are all just still like kind of recapping the aftermath of how they feel about how Tamara handled things. Gina mentioned that she called the journalist, and she then proceeds to try to stir the pot. And Gina's storyline is basically attacking Katie. That's her storyline. Yeah. And it's not a good look. And footage that was unreleased that they showed on the next episode, nasty work. Nasty work. Anyway, Jen is in her like confessional just questioning Katie too. And basically it is Katie versus everybody. That's pretty much what's happening. And this is also the other reason why I did not really care to want to recap this episode, because I was just very irritated and I felt a way about it. Yes, two things can be true. Katie lies, but a lot of these women do too. And this episode, along with the following episode, we're learning there's multiple lies here that's happening. It's not just Katie. And Katie kind of just like, you know what? If we're going to do... Towards the end of this episode, Katie was like, you know what? Let's just kamikaze this. Like, if you're going to just like say that I'm doing all this, and I know I'm not doing all this alone, and not doing this alone is the operative thing. And I kind of felt like I kind of had feeling that's what was going on. But this episode and the following episode solidified it for me. Gina and Gretchen, y'all got some explaining to do. Just put it that way. Anyway, so then the ladies basically share they still have concerns with Katie and her antics, whatever. And then fast forward, we have the whole Housewives montage where we have Ryan and Jen, and then we have Sophia and Shannon, and then we have Gina with her family. And then Tamara didn't quit. Surprise, surprise. We knew she didn't quit. We knew she didn't quit. And we see her at her therapist's office. Also, when the women were venting about Tamara, I forgot to mention, they were irritated along with me about Tamara's antics of like mental health work, but then she's posting all this on Instagram and IG and stuff like that. And it's just like, respectfully, if you're really going through stuff, you don't post it on social media. You know what? Tamara and Tamar, their names are similar and they act very similar. Very immature and unevolved creatures. Because I don't even want to call them women. I'm just kind of like, what is this? What is this? Like, why do we do this? But anyway, so basically, Tamara was at her therapist's office taking no accountability, playing the victim, and then she basically confessed that she took a Xanax and had a drink, as if she didn't know at her big age that was like not going to work out. When does pills and potions ever mix? They never do. That's the gag of it all. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about Tamara. She took zero accountability. She played a victim about the whole entire thing. And then we have Shane and Emily. They're going back and forth with how to handle Luke. It's giving that Emily's more of the gentle parent, which makes sense. It's like more of a motherly thing. And Shane is like, let's pretend everything is normal so that we don't isolate him and alienate him and make him feel less than because we're babying him. And they basically are two extremes and they need to meet in the middle. And we're seeing where they're not in the middle right now, and they basically just need to meet in the middle, and they both need to do a way better job of communicating. And so all this talk and work when it comes to trying to deal with Luke, and maybe we'll see this later on in the season. If we do, that's fine. If we don't, that's fine too. Again, you already know I don't love Emily. But I am somewhat interested in this what's going on with her, just because the Luke situation. It's sad that it has to take her, like, it's her child that has to basically make her interesting. But that's kind of what's happening here. So I know a lot of people have thoughts about how she's sharing this stuff about her child without her child's permission, basically, because she can do that. But whether that's okay or not, I'm on the side of I want to see it because I have family members that are on the spectrum. And so seeing this, and we all know people that have this. And so I want to see this to see how do people navigate this? Because I don't know. I wouldn't know how people navigate it. I know when it comes to like my family members, it's always been the extreme version of it. They've always been like on the extreme side, like nonverbal, like when it comes to being on the spectrum. Um, so I guess I don't know, how do you deal with this when it's not as obvious. Anyway, so I guess I say all this to say I'm wondering, will we see Shane and Emily go to couples counseling to kind of figure out how to navigate this? Because I feel like along with the family counseling, I think they need to do couples counseling to kind of just to get on the same page. Because that, with everything that's going on, they need support system. So yeah. Anyway, moving on. We didn't see Heather. Hold on. We didn't see Heather and Tamara. They meet up. Tamara's being a victim. Heather is calling out for her BS, and really is exhausting. I could never be friends with someone like a Tamara. I could never do it. And I think even Heather is taking a step back when it comes to her friendship and learning that, the respect was not mutual. I don't know why it took Heather this long to figure it out, but I think that really did take Heather back and really hurt her that, even though she was out of her mind, she lashed out on her the way she did. And I'm like, it's confusing how she was confused by that. Because it's like, Heather, you weren't exempt. She did this to Shannon. She's done this to Vicky. And these are the two people that were her besties for way longer than you were. And so, why are we surprised here? Anyway. And then we see Katie and Matt. They're talking to each other. And they're basically stating how it's foreshadowing for the next episode that Katie's not lying about what's going on. And I honestly don't think she is. And while Gretchen and so Emily, Gretchen, and Jen. Emily, Gretchen, and Jen, they're talking about it, and they are proceeding to throw Katie under the bus. And so before we move on to the next episode, when I saw this episode initially, what I thought was, and I'm glad I thought this because now it is what it is. I think because we saw footage of what Gretchen said, we see in the next episode, but I kind of already somewhat thought this. Gretchen did say this to Katie. Because why would Katie just bring this up out of nowhere? That makes no sense. So Gretchen definitely did say this to Katie. But did she say it exactly like how Katie's saying it? And I said this before. I don't think so. I don't believe she said it exactly how Katie said it. I think Katie added some sauce to it and took it to the people. But to the vloggers. What Gretchen did not expect, she did not know who she was confiding in. She didn't know that she was that messy where she would do that kind of thing. And so Gretchen is now caught up because she did say something like that. And now she's at the point where, she has to defend herself. When really the real issue is Tamara brought all this up. All for what? And I think the bigger play is, and I've already said this before, Katie, the reason why they're attacking Katie was so that Jen would be defenseless. And now when we saw that Gretchen's now on, okay, Gretchen's a stronger person to try to get at. So if we try to get at Gretchen, it's all to get Jen off the show. All this, I feel like, is to get Jen off the show and break up this alliance, because they did have they're calling it a friendship. It was an alliance. Let's be so for real. Because if it was a friendship, it wouldn't have taken nothing for the friendship to end. It was an alliance. We learned that. And so while all this is happening, The person who set the fire who's already somewhere else, aka Tamra. She's the one who set this whole entire fire off because Tamra knew who she was dealing with. She knows Katie is so thirsty and so weird and fame hungry, she can't help herself. She's going to reach out to vloggers. And she does it in a way that's so messy that she's going to get caught up. Side note, a lot of the housewives probably do this too. So this is not even, the way they're amplifying this is if Katie is like the only one that ever does this. We already know this is not true. A lot of the housewives do it. The thing is, and Tamra probably does it including Tamra, which is probably why Tamra knew where to go to get this information. Because you also have to ask yourself this, how would Tamra know where to get the information from if she doesn't also partake in doing this type of behavior? There you go. There it is. And those who have watched this franchise before in the past, Tamra, this is not Tamra's first rodeo. She's done stuff like this before, where someone else is the scapegoat, but really she started the whole thing over here. But everyone's just fixated with over here. Anyway, but I say all this to say, there are like 4 liars here. Tamra's lying, Gretchen's lying, Katie's lying, and Jen's lying. Jen's lying by omission. She's not partaking. That's her lying. She's lying by omitting, but she's lying too. They're all lying. Anyway, moving on. Side note, y'all probably wondering why I'm not so upset when it comes to Katie and how the ladies are treating her. I'm kind of past that point, honestly, and you already know I'm trying to smile just because my other stuff that I have going on that's outside of me reviewing this. So don't take me doing this as if like I don't feel a way about it, because I do. I do feel a way about how they're treating her, because it is giving ism. It is giving something, because it's not a good look. But at the same time, I think the part of the reason why I don't feel as bad about it is because, like, as I mentioned before, Katie kind of brought this on herself. You know, you can't partake and be extra messy and be in a housewives mess, but then yet play the card at the same time. Like, even though that 2 things could be true, that could be happening as well. But honestly, because of the cast being predominantly a certain thing, it looks like that a little bit more. It's not a good look, but I think what's really happening is it's about trying to get Jen off the show, because Tamra does not like that Jen is a fan favorite. And honestly, probably after this season now, I'm not sure if Jen's going to stay the fan favorite because of how she's moving this season when it pertains to Katie. So, yeah, this is a scheme that Todd set up to come to us with the bullshit. That's what this is. That's really what it is. But anyway, so next episode, we see that Shannon is with her dad and they're celebrating her dad's 97th birthday. They talk about, and he looks amazing, and they talk about each other's love life, and Shannon's just like, yeah, I'm going out with friends, guy friends, but like, I'm not dating. Like, I have no interest. And child, you and I are on the same page when it comes to that right now. Although I'm starting to weaken. I feel like, come on. And maybe it's because I'm actually starting to lose weight and stuff. Like, I'm starting to like feel back to like myself. But we'll see, because there's other things going on that's still definitely not my priority at this moment. But anyway, and then we go into her relationship. She finally does kind of open up about like how she needs to reevaluate her relationships. And I agree with her. I think she needs to just figure out what works for her, what won't work for her. And they talked a little bit more about this in the after show. Otherly's thoughts on like what works when it comes to Shan's relationships and whatnot. And yeah, I kind of agree with like all of what they said, but mainly she needs to stay by herself and do some more self work. That's kind of where we're at with that. And then the Marilyn Monroe impersonator proceeds to embarrassingly singing "Happy Birthday" to her dad in front of a whole entire restaurant, and it was cute. It was kind of funny. But anyway, moving on. So then next we see Gretchen, Gina, and they decide to meet up with Kiki Monique, and that's the blogger that they've been talking about constantly throughout this show. And to add context, Kiki Monique actually, I believe, has a podcast with Dorinda from the Real Housewives of New York. So I don't see her doing this for clout. And some of the things that like Katie accused her of, like behind the scenes. Basically, Katie has not done herself any favors to not making herself the villain. She definitely did do a lot of stuff that was like really questionable, and I'm still trying to figure out the why. I still don't understand the why. I kind of slightly feel like Tamara put her up to doing all this. That's just a theory. Hear me out. We'll keep going. But because I think the play also was to get Gretchen out of there. As soon as Tamara realized that Gretchen was joining the show, she wanted to do anything and everything to get her off the show. I just have a feeling that's part of what's going on here too. Anyway, so then they do meet up with Kiki. Kiki explains, yeah, no, she told me the story. She told me exactly that this is what you said to her. So it was confirmed that Kiki that Katie told her that Gretchen said that Tamara drugged her and she had to go to the hospital next day. Again. And then we also got some new tea that somehow Gina got mentioned about how when she was wearing an Asian designer, Gina came up to her about another thing she was wearing. She's like, is that Asian? And it's like, and Gina, no matter how much you try to paint that is not a good look. So Gina's appalled and thinks like, oh my gosh, she's trying to make it out to look like that I'm a racist. I'm like, well, it was kind of like microaggressive of you. Like, why would you do that? Why do you care what Katie's wearing? So the thing is with Katie is she's wrong, but she's never completely wrong. And we find out later in this episode, is she completely wrong when it comes to any of this stuff? Who knows? But so this kind of does expose that Gretchen did tell Katie something, because even when Katie was explaining this in her confessional towards the end of the episode, she's like, why would I just willy-nilly just explain all this to like the vloggers if like why would I randomly bring this up? How would this benefit me? And I have a theory about why Gretchen's actually upset. I think what Gretchen's upset about actually is that she does not like that she went off and told the vloggers, because this killed Gretchen's storyline. I think Gretchen was back on this show. She was ready to take out Tamara. Same thing with Jen. Both of them on a mission to take down Tamara. This was supposed to be a Tamara takedown season. That's what this was supposed to be. Tamara got ahead of it and messed it all up and killed and deaded their alliance, basically. That's what happened. That's what's happening. That's what we're seeing. Because she saw that Katie's the weakest link out of them two. It's going to be easy to do this. Like, Tamara probably took notes and saw this reunion. This lady doesn't know how to defend herself to save her life, and she actually is kind of a known liar. She lies a lot, which she does. So this was going to be easy peasy to get this going. And by dragging Gretchen into this, now what Tamara and Gretchen could have going, like what Gretchen could have over Tamara's head, she neutralized it. And she neutralized it by the way of taking out, first accusing Gretchen of telling a lie to, basically give Tamara a bad name, even though the truth about Naked Wasted, you didn't need to add any extra sauce to it. It was all bad. It was pretty much all the same kind of, to me, it's all the same. Like what Tamara did was messed up, but the thing is we're missing that now. We're not even talking about that part anymore, because now we're talking about what Gretchen did. Child, Tamara's really the devil. She is the devil in real life, and these ladies just don't know how to deal with her. And I just like, man, give me one time that I could just. She would not. Tamara wouldn't know what to do with someone like me. At all. But neither here nor there. Anyway, so then, yeah, let's move on. We'll talk more about it as we go. Okay, so the next we have Heather, and she's with her family. So she's with two of her boys and her daughter, I think Kate, and they're doing a family game night, and they're playing poker, and they're at the penthouse situation that they have going on so we find out that she's the apartment down. They have two apartments. They have the penthouse, which is like their main one, and then they have the one that's downstairs that they use for the family stuff. So like the family rooms and all that are, so she's basically paying rent for two parts in the building. And then we talk more about the Beverly Hills house, why it made sense for them to sell it, and it's still in the market. And basically, from what Heather's saying, she got ahead of herself. She wanted to buy it because she thought that was gonna be the landing spot. But come to find out, with all the kids going away, that's not their landing spot. So they're going to put a pin in the future family decision of getting another place until they know where everyone's landing. Because the goal is they want to be able to have a family home to do the holidays and all this stuff with. But then, so basically a home, like a seasonal home. It wouldn't be their main home. It'll be just where they all gather and stuff. Whereas, with Heather and Terry being empty nesters, they would normally have just their own stuff when it comes to the main home. So I think what the plan will be is they would get rid of the bottom family house apartment once they figure that out, and keep the penthouse. The penthouse is theirs. They're rooted and they're staying there. That's their main deal. She talked about in the after show how she might end up moving to New York because she has a couple of her kids going to, they're over in that side of the world, and so they might get a second place there. And we know that Heather is a New Yorker, and so she would be open to moving back and, maybe even trying to do Broadway or whatever. So it's kind of what we got out of that. Anyway, moving on. So then next, we find out that from Emily that Shane is half Persian. Never knew that, but okay. So now they're using this excuse to do a Persian New Year's. It turns out in the past, Shane's mom would do it, but since his mom is not in good health, she's going to try to carry the tradition on. But really what this is an excuse to get this lie detector thing off. Basically, Emily is setting up Katie. Because she is Tamara's minion. Yeah. mean, that's what it is. So anyway, Emily shows up. So after Emily shows up, Gina shows up, and child, it's one and the same. They're the same person. And we find out that Emily and Gina talked about this previously. Of this is what they're doing, and then Heather shows up, and she's like, "Oh wow, okay, I guess this is what we're doing. That's fine." But she does let the ladies know that she met up with Tamara, and that did not go over well. And Tamara kind of like gaslit her, and she's like, "I don't know." She basically was mad at all y'all for her. Child, my mic, so many mic issues this time around. But back what I was saying. So, yeah. Apparently, Tamara was mad at all of them about her actions. And so while all this is going on, yeah. So that's kind of what was happening here. Sorry, it threw me off because now I gotta. If y'all knew, I literally just thought I was done with this review. Like, I went through the rest of it and my mic was off. So I have to redo all this. So, like, I'm just kind of like, I don't know where I was at. But, so now Emily's wondering, should I have invited Tamara? Because now now they know that she's, like, mad at everybody. But anyway, then one by one, Jen, Shannon, Katie, Gretchen show up, and then eventually Tamara does arrive. And like the two pick-me's they went directly to her, like, meh, because, again, I don't remember if I said this before or not, but I'm going to say it now. I saw a meme, and it actually is very fitting. And even especially with this after show now that they have, because Tamara, Gina, and Emily are there together, and they're part of the after show. I saw a meme where it's an octopus and Tamara is the head, and then we have Emily and Gina as one of the tentacles. And I'm just like, nailed it. Nailed it. And so Gina doesn't apologize, but Tamara does apologize to her right away. And so Gina forgives her right away, like as if Tamara just bumped into her by accident. That was it. And then Emily, being the true pick-me she is, apologized to her instead and gives all these excuses why she couldn't have reached out to Tamara. Because Tamara was like bothered by the fact that no one reached out to her, even though she was the one who caused the destruction. And so all this is happening. Shannon's looking at this like, see... And this is why I can't completely mess with Tamara. Like, what is this? Like, ew. That's disgusting. And so, anyway, once they all get their questions answered, because we found out that Emily had homework for everyone to basically write questions that they always wanted, that they want answers to anonymously about each other. And so she then drops a bomb like, hey, we're going to get to the bottom of all this. I got some lie detector test people here, and we're going to take a lie detector test. Ta-da! Side note, do we believe that this lie detector test is really lie detectoring? No, I don't. But for the show, okay, we can pretend, I guess. I don't know. So then, basically, Shannon clocks and she's like, oh, that's why there's no alcohol here. And that was why. And so they do end up doing this lie detector. They all end up doing it, being good sports. And then let's get to the results. And then I can hopefully wrap this up this time. Child, one more thing that I forgot to express. Gretchen, what in the Whoville is your confessional look? I know I have no room to talk. My hair is looking a little crazy right now. And of course I have a blemish right now, of course. But I'm also not a Real Housewife. So, again, what in the Whoville is your confessional about? And yes, for those who are wondering, I usually aim it where my thing is here. But I have a mirror right behind me. And that's why I don't do direct like this. Anyway, but yeah. I just had to call that out. What in the Whoville? Okay. And hopefully y'all can hear me okay, because I'm not doing this again. If this doesn't work the second time, I'm just gonna like call it good and be done with it. But anyway, so the results are Emily passed her questions. One of her questions that we kind of cared about, but we really didn't care about, was did Emily talk to her kids about Heather in a negative way? And the answer is yeah, she did not. And she passed. Which, again, last season, we already talked about this last season. Okay, we don't care. Same thing with Gina. Gina's questions were like all stupid. We didn't care about it last season. I don't even remember what the questions were. They were dumb. Tamara passed her first two questions. One was related to, did she talk to Slate's ex to try to get dirt get dirt about Slate, and basically to attack Gretchen. She said yes, but of course she conditionalized it where she didn't have accountability. And then the second question was about does she want to be friends with Shannon still? And that's true. Shannon also passed all hers, and one of the questions was about the Tamara situation. Does she want to be friends with Tamara? And Shannon was like, maybe. Which, side note, that's when I'm just like, okay, this is not real, because it has to be yes or no questions for lie detectors. Otherwise, you're not going to pass. But anyway, and then the third question she failed because the question was like, did your medical professional tell you that you are on the spectrum? She said yes. We knew that was a lie. She failed. And we also saw footage of the professional not telling her that. So, yeah. And then Jen's was she passed all hers except for when it came to, does she have any reservations about marrying Ryan? And she failed. But the thing is that really news? No, because Jen already expressed this like 2 episodes ago that she's not so confident in this marriage because of everything she's going through still with her ex-husband, which rightfully so. And then Heather failed when it came to the paparazzi question. Again, last season, I don't care. We don't care. I think they just try to use that to show that Katie is not a complete liar. We don't care. That's just what I get from that. No one cares about that. But anyway. And then fast forward, this is where the gotcha moment happens. Surprise, surprise, not really surprise. Katie failed all her questions. And and then Gretchen passed all hers. And in the confessional, we see that Tamara's like, well, if someone is really a known liar who's really, really good at lying, you can pass your lie detector test, which we know that. And also, too, pay attention to people who are doing who are administering these lie detectors. And why are they doing this at someone's house in a closet? Number one. Number two, we know lie detector tests cannot be used in court because you can easily be deceptive. Like, you can easily trick it. You could trick it for the truth, or unfortunately, any type of nervousness can say that you're lying even though you're not. So this is all just really, really dumb. So anyway, she failed, and then the way the administrator was like, you failed so badly, I'm like, not real. This is not real. And so Katie, and then Emily uses this as an excuse, just relishing in it. She's like, yeah, I think you should leave. I think you should leave. To me, she looked like that when she said that. And so she left. She was like, okay. And she leaves, and then she's like, literally, Katie is like crying and going off to the producer. So basically breaking the fourth wall. And she basically quits the show also. And it ends in a to be continued. And Gretchen feels vindicated. But again, y'all already know what my theory is. Gretchen said that said a version of that she was so sick that she went to the hospital. That's how she's trying to clean it up. But now the more and more she says it, the more, because her story has changed, Gretchen's lying. And Gretchen didn't want to get caught up in being the one that Tamara goes after. So she basically let Katie take the fall. And Jen is a liar because she always never knows what Katie said. She does not want to have Katie's back when it comes to this type of situation, because by her having Katie's back, that means she's not having Gretchen's back. And I get why, because Jen is the reason why Gretchen's back on the show. So, to help take down Tamara. But I don't know how these women just ain't smart yet, have not figured this out, that this is a scheme that Tamara set up to come with us with the BS. The way she has Uno reversed it and again switched a Tamara takedown season to now is someone else being taken down. It's the old rinse and repeat, and no one is still catching up to it. But anyway, so I don't really think Katie's lying, but what Katie did, which was messed up, and maybe she did this for a storyline, which is wild. Why are you going to the vlogs for? And that's really everyone's saying, like, why are you going to them for? Like, Gretchen's mad, but I don't think she's mad at what Katie said to the, like, I think she's mad that she went to the bloggers about that. Because it's like, you took ammo away from me and you took my storyline away. You made it about you, which she literally did. So part of me thinks that Katie did that so that she had something going on. But also, I really think someone else egged her on to do that. And by someone, I mean Tamara. So I got nothing here. I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts are. This is not exactly what I said the last time I recorded this, but my mic went out. So hopefully y'all enjoy this second version of what I said. But anyway, please like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you get anything out of the content. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner, and I will see you next time. Bye.